Australia's indigenous population have lived in the nation for at least 50,000 years. This means they have the oldest living cultural history in the world. When the British arrived in 1788, as many as 250 different languages were spoken across the nation. 1788, First Fleet and convicts. The Dutch first sighted Australia in 1606, before Captain Cook claimed the land for Great Britain in 1770. The first fleet of 11 boats arrived at Botany Bay in 1788 to establish New South Wales as a penal colony. Convicts were subsequently sent to other states, with the exception of South Australia, that was established as a free colony in 1836.
The discovery of gold in Australia in Bathurst, New South Wales first, then Ballarat, Victoria in 1851 kick-started the economy and created the idea of Australia as a desirable location. 1854 saw the Eureka Stockade at Ballarat, Victoria, a rebellion against taxation that some see as a crucial event in the evolution of Australia's democracy. This is also the first period of Chinese immigration, with 50,000 Chinese arriving and the establishment of many Chinatowns. The Commonwealth of Australia was created in 1901 with the Federation of all the states. It was agreed that the capital could be in New South Wales, but no closer than 100 kilometres from Sydney. This led to the creation of Canberra, with a temporary Parliament set up in Melbourne for 27 years. In April 1915, the Australian and New Zealand Anzac Corps, ANZACs, took part in the World War I Gallipoli campaign. Despite the defeat, this battle has great relevance in defining the characteristics of Australians. April 25th, the date of the first landing at Gallipoli, is Anzac Day, the date Australians remember and pay respects for the sacrifice of our armed forces, both past and present, in conflicts around the world. Almost 39% of Australia's male population between 18 and 44 years of age enlisted to fight in World War I. The end of World War II and then subsequently the Vietnam War led to an influx of migrants to Australia. The Snowy Mountains Scheme, 1949 to 1974, employed 100,000 people, with 70% being migrants from 30 different nations. Steady Asian migration began in the 1970s, and now people from all over the world call Australia home. This is reflected in many aspects of Australian life, with Australian society known for its equality and lack of clear class distinctions.
Australia was divided up into 5 states: Northern Territory, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia. Each of these different states has a major capital city. Brisbane is the capital of Queensland. Most people know of Sydney, but not so many people know of Brisbane. Brisbane has a population of around just over 2 million people. It is subtropical, producing beautiful weather most of the year, warm summers and not so cold in the winter time. Brisbane is situated on the river, which makes an ideal situation for the shipping imports to come into the country. On the north of Brisbane and on the south of Brisbane, we have beautiful beaches. Also, surrounding Brisbane are many beautiful mountains and rainforests and many different kinds of places which you can visit and enjoy the fine weather that we have in this place. Started filming.
No, I didn't realise it took so long.
Hello! Cookie! Hello! Hello! Cookie want a cracker? Hello! Hello! Oh!
You said hello when we first came up here.
Oh! There you go. Oh, that's good. Oh, yeah, it's a big show. Hello. Kerry and myself live in Queensland, close to the major city called Brisbane. We live 45 kilometres out of the city.
The presence of Christianity in Australia began with the arrival of the first fleet of British convicts in 1788. The religion grew to account for 96.1% of the national population at the time of the Federation of Australia in 1901. The Anglican Church of Australia, formerly known as the Church of England in Australia, was the largest church until 1986, when it was surpassed by the Catholic Church in Australia. Post-war multiculturalism and a decline in religious observance among some sections of the population have diversified the demographics of religion in Australia. Christianity is the largest Australian religion, according to the National Census. In the 2016 census, 52.1% of Australians were listed as Christian. Australia has no official state religion, and the Australian Constitution protects the freedom of religion and establishes the principle of separation of church and state.
Today we see a decline in people going to church, and the traditional churches are losing people. However, the Pentecostal charismatic churches are still going very strong and being very relevant to the community in which we are. Australia has been built on Christian ethics, and we enjoy the freedom of religion, and we enjoy the values that Christianity has been taught in this nation, and I think we are still called the lucky country because of this fact.